You're recording, aren't you?
Yeah. That's okay. I'm fine with that.
It's okay, it's alright. I got something that you gon' like.
Welcome back to the Christ in Culture. This is Gordon.
And this is Clint.
Guess what, Clint?
What?
I got a new game yesterday
Yes.
that I was telling you about, and I'm really excited because it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and it has to do with
Bombs.
bombs and talking.
Yes.
And you talk or you bomb.
Yes. Yes.
Am I right?
That's exactly it. It's
Okay.
keep talking and nobody explodes.
Next topic. No, I'm just kidding. No.
Moving on.
Okay, so tell us about it, though.
It is...
You have like a manual, right?
You do.
Okay.
I haven't printed it yet. I need to. You can do it on the computer, but it's easier to turn pages.
Oh, okay.
So it's like a manual. One person is looking at a screen that has a bomb. It's kind of like you're in a room with this bomb. And it's as if you're called a bomb hotline. And are
As one
asking,
does.
Exactly. And asking them how to defuse the bomb. And they're like, okay, what do you see? What does the bomb look like? Are there wires? Yes, there's wires. Okay. Are the wires going vertical or horizontal? Okay, great. How many wires are there? What are the colors? Okay, based on... Okay, what's the serial number on the side of the bomb? Okay, great. Then you want to cut the second wire.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
There's a serial number?
Oh, there's so many things.
What if it's a homemade bomb? Is there a whole section for that too?
No. I feel like they're all homemade bombs.
Oh. Then why is there a serial number?
It's just like a sticker.
Okay.
The person likes to document his
Yeah,
bombs.
okay. What if this game is actually just like the U.S. government trying to train all of us to be able to be part of like not a layperson, but like a citizen bomb squad?
It's possible. But, I mean, as far as bombs go, I've never really seen a bomb in real life. But as far as the bombs, I imagine what they look like. It doesn't look like any kind of bomb.
Oh.
That I imagine a bomb would
So it's not a very effective training
It's not
program.
like the round circle with the rope coming out.
Because that's what bombs actually look like.
Yes.
Okay. Good to know.
Yeah.
So not effective. All right. I got one for you.
Okay.
Did you hear, is it this, I think it was this week or last week or something like that? Kanye, Yeezy himself, has announced that he will no longer be making secular music.
Is it all worship music now?
He's only going to be making gospel music, he said.
Nice. Yeah. Have you ever... That's funny, but have you ever looked up, there's a few links, and they're really easy, but it's really funny. Who said it, Kanye or Jesus?
Yeah, I made one of those games. And actually, Leah, who's been on the show, said she has one for Life Teen, too.
It's so much fun.
Yeah.
Like,
I call it Jesus or Yeezus. Yeah. I got another one, Taylor Swift, Lyrics or Lamentations.
oh.
Yoda or Proverbs.
Have you done the Sith Lord or Place in the Bible? Like City?
No.
That's what Deirdre did at our core retreat. It's great.
I'm going to write that one down.
Like Sith Lord names and biblical cities sound so familiar.
Wow, that's so good.
It was really tricky. At first, I got like the first two right, but she was pulling from like book lore, not from like movies or anything.
Sure. I'll have to talk to her about that.
I got most of them wrong.
That's so good. I'm trying to think what other ones. Oh, I have like Tolkien or Revelations, Book of Revelations. Who else? There's like I have a whole bunch of these, but those are really, really fun games.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Kanye is making a move. Apparently, I just saw this on Twitter. I never actually confirmed it, so it's probably true because it's Twitter. But he's like some kind of not Catholic, but almost Catholic denomination. So everyone on Twitter is like
Christian denomination?
Yeah. But like from what they were saying, it's like a denomination that is
very close
to being Catholic. So
okay.
There's a bunch of people on Twitter who are convinced they're going to convert him to Catholicism.
Okay.
So there's that. Apparently he was like offering his own like worship services at Coachella this year.
I did know about that.
You did know about that?
Yeah.
And someone said that he had like started his own church a while back too. So
I think he called the worship service at Coachella, like he called it like church hour or something.
Okay.
So
yeah, we'll see where this ends up.
small ounce of humility goes a long way.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's a day in the life of the news on the Twitterverse.
On the Twitters.
On the Twitters.
My mom's coming to town.
Your mom's coming to town. When?
Yeah, on Wednesday.
Sweet.
4 days from now, I think. Yeah.
Shout out to Gordon's mom.
Yeah.
She is a riot.
It's true.
That is all. I mean, I don't
Have you
know.
met my mom?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I don't remember.
She was at. She stayed with you guys at the Mattlers.
Yeah, I know. I just didn't know why you guys would have met.
Yeah.
But you know something wild?
Please.
98 days from now, I am getting married.
Oh my gosh, that's so exciting! Dang,
Less
man.
than 100 days.
In my mind, it feels like it's further away until we started having like this conversation a little bit before we started recording.
Yeah.
It is so close.
It's really close.
Oh my gosh. And David and Annalisa, my
It's like-
former roommate, is like next month, end of next month.
Yeah.
Like, holy cow.
Yeah. It's like 30 something days away. Or more like 40, but still.
Almost 60,
Yeah.
right? I don't know. Math. It's math.
50 something.
Somewhere up there. Yeah. Yeah, everyone's getting married. There you go. That's
Crazy.
that's how things are happening.
Yeah. And then I'm going to see the Joker.
Right after this, right?
Yeah. I mean, not right at, depending on when this ends, not right after,
Right.
but pretty close, about 4 o'clock.
Everyone's saying, like, literally everyone I've talked to said it's absolutely amazing, not really fitting the backstory or the comic backstory, but that the movie itself is...
Well, he doesn't have a
So
backstory.
good. He does. He has, like, so many, though.
Well, because people
They
make them
just-
up.
Yeah. There's, like, no
But
set backstory.
originally, like, the idea was that he didn't have a backstory, and he's the only villain that Batman fights that he doesn't know anything about.
Right. And then that's where the play of him and the Batman being so similar, because you don't really know what the backstory is. It could be...
Yeah, and Batman knows everything about everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But also the flip side of that was not even like the lore, but originally there was no backstory because then Joker was the only villain that wasn't like humanized.
Mm-hmm.
And so it wasn't like a villain that you could have sympathy for or that you could think that someone could become. You're like, that's the type of insanity that's out of the realm of actual possibility.
Yeah. Which is since kind of changed, especially with this movie here.
Yeah, it's a dangerous road to play, humanizing the Joker, and I think a lot of people were worried about it. But
Yeah.
I heard it's extremely disturbing, so I wonder if they kind of changed the gear into like a way where people were like, there's no way someone would do that, because that's too creepy.
Yeah, Heath Ledger's Joker also kind of played off of the idea of like not having a backstory too.
No idea.
Because that's why every time he's like, have I ever told you how I got these scars?
And he
Like,
always lies about it.
It's a different
story every time.
Yeah. Gosh, he's so good. I think I've said it on here, but he's
Yeah, I'm excited.
my favorite actor of all time. Heath Ledger.
He's a good actor.
Yeah. So what have you been intaking before this episode?
I recently watched the new Jeff Dunham special,
JeffFaw.com.
Dunham. Yeah.
.com.
I'm not a crazy Jeff Dunham fan.
I used to be. In like middle
same.
school.
Exactly. But I was bored, and hour-long comedy specials are easy to binge.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I'll watch it. And it was pretty good. There was some new puppets. Like one of my favorite... I have a favorite new puppet of his, and it's the... I don't know the job title, but basically the person that's in charge of... It's like the PR guy for Trump.
Oh my gosh.
And he's like bug-eyed. His hair is like standing up. He's got a cigarette in his hand, and he's just constantly just like shaking.
This is so funny.
It was really funny.
Oh. Okay.
So
what
I did
else?
watch that. I got that new game and I played it, and then me and Lizzie have been watching, finishing up The Good Place still.
Okay.
Other than that, I really haven't been taking in too much. I've been really busy just with writing talks and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. for my parish a lot. The Good Place. Is it a good show?
I think it's a great show.
Okay.
I think it's a phenomenal show.
I've heard there's a lot of like Christian stuff built into it,
Yes.
or at least hinted at.
And morality.
And morality.
Like, I'm sure that's a Christian thing, but like just like
Yes
in the sense of just like what is morality and that, and it's really, really good.
Yeah, that might be something we look into in the future too.
There's a lot that you could talk on, I think, but I don't want to say too much if you haven't seen it because it just twists and turns throughout the whole thing.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. So I honestly have not been taking in a whole lot of new stuff, but I started listening to the Spotify sessions. I don't know if you're familiar with those, but it's basically
like acoustic versions of stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's covers of, like, they bring in artists to cover other popular songs. So it's really cool. You see sometimes cross-genre covers, which is really, really cool. And there's a lot of songs I've never heard of. A lot of
here
people I've never heard
yesterday,
of.
and they were playing one. It was a song by my favorite band, but
Yeah.
it wasn't them singing it. And I was like, "What is this?"
Yeah, we were sitting at dinner last night. Yeah. Yeah, so I've been listening to that kind of stuff just nonstop. I love acoustic music. I love, just a lot of the musicians that are playing that stuff. And so just to see them not unedited, I'm sure it's edited, but like unfiltered,
Yeah.
I guess is a better word. I like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So that's been really good. I've been listening to, hold your breath, Harry Styles.
Okay.
I know. Because I saw a video of Harry Styles live at a concert with Kacey Musgraves. And so they did a duet together singing You're Still the One by Shania Twain.
And they rocked it.
It was so good. So I was just like, I haven't listened to Harry Styles ever. So I just started listening to some of his stuff. So I've been taking in a little bit of that. And then I've honestly been doing a ton of Duolingo. Just like crazy.
I've fallen off the wagon a little bit.
Yeah, I noticed.
I was going strong for a while.
I went and added Latin a while ago. So I had French back from the spring, added Latin when that came out. And then I was talking to someone at work the other day about how I never get to actually use Spanish anymore. And so I've just lost all of it. So I added Spanish too. Mm-hmm. So I'm just going through Spanish, Latin, and French, which it's kind of cool to do all three at the same time because obviously they all get their roots from Latin, but they're all very, very different.
Similar
at the same
and
time.
different, yeah.
So that's been kind of good. And then the other thing that I wanted to bring up is this new game. People are streaming on Twitch right now. So I believe it's made by Epic, which is the same company.
Is it the Goose game?
It's the Goose game. How do you know about the Goose game?
Well, I've seen it. It's on. I can get it on Switch. It's like $15.
Yeah.
It's crazy popular.
It's so popular.
To the point where Google, there was an article the other day that Google showed me about I think there was a picture of a real goose in the back of a taxi and the window had broken, it had broken through a window to get in. And they were like, seems like this game with Goose Mayhem is real life.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's just a coincidence. You're connecting it to a game. But yeah. You're just a goose that causes trouble.
Yeah, it's called the Untitled Goose Game. That's literally what it's called. And there's just different levels. Some of them are in a garden. One's in someone's house. One's in a bar or a restaurant kind of thing. And each level, you just have missions where you're just supposed to go around and wreak havoc.
Yeah, you have a
it.
checklist of steal the carrots from the garden.
Yeah, it's just a bunch of different stuff. And the game is blowing up. So I was on John
fun.
Bearded Blevins' stream the other day, and he was playing it, and it was just a riot. So fun stuff.
Yeah, people were oh. Really poor animation, but it's really silly looking.
Yeah, it's super goofy, simple game.
You gotta love and hate indie games like that, where he'll make them for really cheap. There's a whole bunch because they're cheap and there's some that are really good, and then sometimes they look really cool and you buy it and it's really terrible.
Well, it's kind of like Minecraft too, I think.
Oh,
because they totally cut back on graphics. Because you have, in the midst of everyone working to have the best graphics game and these expanding universe games and stuff like that, And then that's when Minecraft came into play, and it just blew up. The graphics are awful. The mechanics are so simple and basic and stuff. But it's still huge. Like, it just had a resurgence because everyone's pissed at Fortnite right now. And so they're switching back to Minecraft. Which
Minecraft is, like, blowing up again.
So big.
Have you ever heard of, like, RuneScape or Deltarune?
I have RuneScape still downloaded on my computer, I think. I don't play anymore. But
Wait. Not RuneScape. Not that one. Deltarune and something else. Because RuneScape is like that medieval RPG game, right?
Yeah.
And that's not what I was talking about. It's a game that I'm sure if you mentioned to your middle schoolers, that they would be like, I love that game and I play it.
Deltarune?
Deltarune. And it's like like you said about graphics, like a 2-bit game. So it kind of looks like the first generation of Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like a conversational game that you walk through. There is this lore to it, and it's a cool story, and it's really silly. You just talk to people, and based on
there it is.
What you discuss, like, you might fight them, but then when you fight, you can choose to kill them, to like not fight, and to pacify them, and all your actions change the end result of the game. Like you have to be if you kill everybody along the way, if you're just a murder hobo, by the end they fear you. But if you actually, there's one attempt of the game where you're supposed to kill nobody, and if you do that, you meet this ultimate boss that you can't find anywhere else.
Yeah, that's kind of like the game Fable,
Yeah,
which is very good. But it's so weird to think how the more popular games are actually the ones that don't have as good of graphics now. When we were growing up and I was still playing video games, which I don't really do as much anymore, it was all about
graphics were the thing.
Graphics. What game has the best graphics? Call of Duty. Which game has better graphics than that? You know, it's just like everyone's trying to one up the other.
It's either Call of Duty or like Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah.
Every time they just graphics get better and better.
Yeah, and then
that's so real.
It's like all of a sudden the companies must have realized like we can't keep doing this, and so they just gave up and they're like, we're going to do the opposite and see if we can get away with it. That's almost what it seems like. I don't know if that's what they did, but
I don't know, but it is what it is.
Yeah. So with all of that randomness,
yes,
are you ready for this?
I think so.
Okay. So guys, if you are listening to this right now, which you are, go look at the number of this episode, and it's going to say 104.
It's just a random number.
Just a random number. Except, here's the thing. If you divide that by 52, it's 2. And there you go. And that's math.
In the wise words of the whitest guy I know, happy birthday!
That's a snowman.
I know.
Frosty the Snowman. Oh my God. Yeah. So guys, this is the very last episode of our second year of the show, which is completely crazy to think that we've been doing this for 2 years now. And just like last year, we want to do something to kind of recap the year and discuss about what is this show, what happened this last year, where are we going in the future, stuff like that. So that's what this show is going to be about. We're not going to be going into any specific topic, I guess, necessarily.
The topic is us.
The topic is, it's always about us.
Yeah, this is our birthday.
Yeah, and it's our birthday month, so you'll be celebrating with us all month long. No, I'm just kidding. But not entirely. So we're going to have
to send us gifts. It's patreon.com/The Christ and Culture.
Yes. We also enjoy tea. We always drink tea on the episode, so if you ever want to send us tea, I'm not going to say no to that. But with that being said, last year we were actually recorded this episode in a fort.
We did.
If you remember that. We are not in a fort this year.
Thought about that a few days ago, and I was like, we should do that again. And then when we came here today, I fully forgot about it.
Yeah, that's a lot of work. And it got really hot in there last year.
It was stuffy.
Yeah. And especially with all three of us like jammed into that. We used every single blanket and pillow and bed sheet in my apartment. That's pretty wild. I think we start with just talking about where this podcast came from briefly. So a lot of you might know most of this story already, but there are a lot of new listeners. And yeah, so our story, where we came from. So I guess I'll start since you were not there in the beginning, and then you can kind of take over.
Sure.
Yeah, so basically what happened was the show actually came from a couple different places. So for Steve, our other co-host who's not able to be here today, he had been told by some people, he went around as a youth minister kind of speaking at different parishes and stuff, and people told him that he should start a podcast. At the same time, I was still a missionary at the Pines Catholic Camp, Go Trees. And while I was working there with middle schoolers, I would talk to them about how things like superheroes and the Lord of the Rings and different like stuff in pop culture that they enjoyed, how we can actually learn about Christ through those things. And they were like, you should start a YouTube channel. And there was no way in heck I was starting a YouTube channel. And so I was like, I like podcasts. I could do that. Next thing, I take this job here in League City, Texas, where I met Steve, and he was kind of showing me around and introducing me to friends and stuff, so I wouldn't have that awkward couple months of not knowing anyone stage. And it just kind of came up in conversation that we were both interested in starting a podcast. A couple months later, Harvey hit, and so that kind of slowed us down a little bit, but eventually we got the show going, thanks to a lot of you guys' help. Yeah, and that's kind of where it started. 2 years ago, we had no idea what we were doing. If you go back and listen to the first episodes, they were pretty awful as far as like we didn't know where we were going and audio quality and stuff like that. So hopefully we've grown a little bit since then. But going over the first couple, like I think it was 4 or 5 months is what we decided. It was 4 or 5 months. We realized that we wanted another kind of like voice, another mind to help pick from. And Gordon was one of our like main listeners and was always offering feedback and stuff. And so we asked him to join the show. And yeah, that's where you came in.
Maybe this is where I came in. I remember that summer I just moved to Houston, but not permanently, temporarily. And I was there for interning with Adore, and then Harvey hit. I had gone home already after summer, and I came back the next month, like the second week, to help out with Encounter. And I was at Encounter, which is a young adult conference that Adore at the time helped put on, and that's where I met you.
No, that's where you met Steve.
That's where I met Steve and David.
Yeah, I met you.
The young adult group.
No, at
the lock-in.
Lock-in, junior high lock-in.
That's right. So I met Steve and David, and it's funny because you guys hadn't started the podcast yet. But we were on the roof in the presidential suite hanging out, and I talked to David a while, and we connected that we were from Georgia, both from Georgia. And then I overheard Steve talking to Luke from Catching Foxes about the podcast that he was about to start and all these things. And I was like, no, that's cool. And didn't think any much of it. And then, I ended up meeting you because we did some shared ministry together with our churches. And I don't remember how I started listening to the podcast. That's the funny thing. I don't remember, I remember you guys were doing a podcast. I don't remember why I actually listened to the first episode.
Yeah.
I just don't.
Young adult group, maybe. I don't know.
I don't know if, did you ever say hey, we just started the podcast? Is that stuff you said?
Oh my gosh. When we first started, it's all I would talk about. So
it had to be that. I'd had to just check it out.
I literally didn't shut up about it.
And I was already somebody, not like Clint or Steve, where I like to talk about things with the Christian themes or anything like that, or in any way where someone's like, oh, you should do something with this. I was just someone who loved going to the movies.
Yeah.
I would, before, when I had money, I would go to the movies at least 2 to 3 times a month. I was kind of like Cody in that regard, and always see movies, see the weirdest movies, and just loved new music. Every year, I think my phone, what music I download is, I probably download at least 100 new albums all the time, because every time an album comes out of a band I know, I just download it.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I listen to it that much, but I just download it just to check it out. And I just love taking in media and then talking to someone about it. If someone else listened to it or seen it, I'm like, oh, what'd you think? What'd you think of the cinematography, all that stuff? And so when they were talking about movies and stuff, and they're like, we need recommendations, I was just amped to challenge them.
Yeah.
Because I was like, you
Which
guys
was
got
awesome.
to check
so
out
good.
these weird stuff, because all these movies that I watch has really interesting, deep stories, and I'd be interested in what you guys could do. And then, you guys came and were like, hey, would you want to be on the podcast? I'm like, I guess so. Yeah, sure. And at that point, I always wanted to be on a podcast, but that was more of just I listened to a lot of podcasts, and podcasts were cool. And so that's what I did, and I joined, and I've been here since then.
Yeah. And your second episode, you like led it on your own already, so that's kind of cool.
Probably one of the weirdest topics I've brought into the movie. I mean, into the podcast.
Yeah, that one was tough. I literally, we watched the movie together, and then I didn't even know what we were talking about as we were recording it. So I'm glad you did.
But like I told you before we started recording, I had a friend who listened to that episode. I'm not saying this was the sole reason, but it helped.
It probably was.
It helped with her discernment, because we talked about discernment in the Nobody is Nobody episode 23.
Yeah.
And she said it helped with her discernment to join Net Ministries that year.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Her name's Hannah Jones. So shout out to her.
Oh yeah, I remember Hannah. She listened a lot. Yeah. Shout out to Hannah. That's so cool. Yeah. So that is kind of just the first 23 episodes, though. Like, we've had so much change since then. We already talked about the first year.
Well, before
in episode
we
52.
talk about the change, like you said, there's some new listeners, and with one of the major changes I think we're implementing this year, there's gonna be a lot, I think, of new listeners. So what is this podcast?
Yeah, so basically this show, if you're familiar with like the story of Paul at the Areopagus in Greece from the book of Acts of the Apostles. So essentially Paul, talking to the Greeks, points out to them, hey, there's this aspect of your culture, you call it the temple to the unknown God. Let me tell you how I know about that God. Let me tell you who he is and stuff like that. And so we try to do the same thing with current culture and stuff that we enjoy. So essentially our idea here is that if there's something that is good and that we enjoy inside of culture, whether that be books, movies, TV shows, music, we've done clothing, video games, anything, you name it, if it's in culture and we enjoy it, the reason we enjoy it is because there's something in there that directs us towards Christ, because he wrote on our hearts a desire for himself. Mm-hmm. And so we use this culture essentially as a means of evangelization. So that's kind of what we do here. And we always love recommendations and challenges, like Gordon said from before. So if you guys have anything, send it our way, and we would love to give it a shot.
Yeah.
Anything you want to add to that?
No.
Okay.
In layman's terms, we take in media. I think in the beginning, year one, it was mostly movies, music, and TV shows. Mm-hmm. And like kind of harp on like one, as it evolved, kind of like a bunch of themes that we saw that were just themes that we journey with, you know, whether it's like morality, or whether it's sin, which is one that kind of comes up a lot.
Yeah.
Or whether it's just like the brokenness, or why do bad things happen, just like those kind of topics. And like, okay, this is what the movie or this is what the song talks about. How is that true? How is that not true based on what we know of Christ?
Yeah, there's a lot of good versus evil kind of things playing off in most movies too.
Yeah. So. And then in season 2 or year 2, this what we're about to end, I think one of the biggest changes was what we decided to talk on. And I think, you know, Stephen, you did an episode on art just in general.
Yeah.
And then, you know, we ended, or our first live episode was one of the weird first caveats, and we did games.
Yeah. All games.
Yeah, just games, like board games, video games. And, you know, we've done clothing now. We've done comics.
We've done a couple books now.
Books. There were some books in the beginning too.
We just did technology. Yeah,
I don't know.
There's so much stuff.
I know we have coffee as an option in the future.
Yeah.
We did science.
Yeah.
Oh, we even did culture.
Oh yeah, with Gomer.
Yeah,
like literally the word
did
culture.
Christ in culture.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
Just like it's all stuff that we can consume. Just like like the definition of technology, if you listen to that, it's just like stuff that shapes the way that we are. Mm-hmm. And so rather than just talk about books, movies, TV shows, and music, let's talk about anything that we can. Like we could literally do an episode if we wanted to on tea.
Yeah, we should.
So I think that was a big evolution in this age.
Yeah, and if you guys are new and you want to have a better understanding of the show, we do still have our old intro is basically a 1-minute description of the show and what we do. So you can still find that as episode 0, or it's in I think it's called the trailer if you're in Apple, any of the Apple podcast apps. So you can see that as well. So go ahead and check that out. But let's just briefly go through a couple more of the like season 2 things that we tried to do or that we actually did. So one that I really wanted to do from the beginning, but we kind of flopped on, was videos.
Yes.
Yeah. So we put out, I don't know, we put out some.
We did.
And it kind of just, it got too much.
It's hard.
Yeah, it's
like,
so hard to do all this stuff.
Just like you said in the beginning, like you weren't going to make a YouTube channel, and you're like, I could do podcasting. It's just a different ball game.
For sure. Yeah. So that was one of the things that we tried. I mean, I think down the road, we'd like to get into some of that stuff a little more, but it's definitely not our main focus.
Yeah, it is. We still do have like a YouTube channel, and it is still something that's going to be there.
Yeah.
That we can do stuff on. But yeah, it's...
Yeah. And then starting in January of last year, like a lot of stuff happened. So that's when we got our website. That's when we got our blog, and we started doing blogs. That's when we got Patreon, and we started doing all that different stuff too. Yeah. Just a lot changed with that, I think, as well.
Yeah. I think the podcast, I mean, the website was really cool because it just kind of compiled everything we were doing into one. And then blogs were really cool, which we're not great about blogs, just because we're podcasters.
Yeah.
But we liked the idea, and it's still something we're gonna have because our podcasts have another change within the 2 years. When you guys began, your podcasts were like 25 minutes long.
Yeah.
And now I think we have like an hour and 20-minute pod. Like that's not what it is, but like the longest one was like an hour and like 25 minutes.
Well, the longest one was the
live one.
Hour and 40. That one was ridiculously long. We don't want to do that. Yeah.
No, but we try to keep it to like
an hour,
50 minutes to 60 minutes,
yeah.
You know? And so that was like within that. So some things, some topics you might throw at us and we're like, you know, we could talk about this for 15 minutes, but that's not going to make it like a podcast.
Right.
So a blog allows us to still break open just like a real quick, and that's what we thought about videos too, but
it's more work.
That's maybe down the road, but blogs are an easy way to just like write out just quickly.
Yeah. And something we've brought up to you guys before is if you are someone who is a good writer, I am not a great writer. If you're good at that and you like blogs, write something and send it to us. We would love to read through it, and if it's something that works with what we do, we'll happily put it on our site.
Yes.
So please.
We would definitely, like, blogs another way for you guys to be a part of this too.
For sure.
Yeah.
And then another reason why things got longer is we added more, like, I guess, sessions into the show itself. So we used to kind of just dive right into things. There was really no real banter. And then, I mean, banter kind of grew as our friendships grew too. But then also we started doing the current media. So what are you taking in every week? And really that's just so you guys can hear about some new things that we're taking in. Maybe a prelude to some things you might see in the future on the show. But then also we want to hear from you guys what you're taking in too. So it's hopefully just a way of doing that conversation. And then another thing that kind of developed out of just doing the show is we started doing challenges. And so it went from, I think originally Steve was just giving challenges from like the very beginning, and it was kind of sporadic. It was not like an every episode kind of thing.
I just want to challenge you guys to do this thing.
Yeah. And now in season 2 and the end of season 1, I guess, it really just started taking form into an actual like section of the show. And if you actually look at our note section, we actually like lay out the challenges for you guys there too. So if you ever don't remember what the challenge was, you can always go back and just look at the description of the show too and figure out what those are. So it's kind of changed in those ways too. Another thing though that we kind of add, and I think this is probably the last thing I want to bring up for the second year, is we had so many guests, like a ton of guests, compared to what we normally
year
had.
one we had 4, maybe 5.
Yeah, it was like 4 or 5, I don't know.
And I think we doubled that
easily
in year 2.
Easily, yeah.
I think we had like 8 to 10 guests on as well. And this is pretty big. Year 2, that's when we got our logo.
Yeah.
Logo, the intro, which I've actually gotten a lot of feedback from that lately. From, I think, Ethan Berger and Ryan have both told me, like, every time they listen to, like, the start of the podcast, they just feel like they're about to, like, watch, like, a crazy superhero movie.
Yes.
Going on, like, a crazy adventure.
That's the point.
That was the idea. And they're like, yeah, it's just, like, this epic thing.
That makes me so happy, because remember, we spent, like, literally months just, like,
Ryan,
debating.
I was like, look, boiled it down to 3. We voted, and we each picked a different one.
Yeah.
And then the one we picked was one that neither of us had picked.
There was so much deliberation that
It was so hard.
We really specifically were trying to find something that would really convey that emotion. So I don't know. That's so cool
Yeah,
that
really,
it's actually
really
doing
cool. Yeah. And then the guest overlays too with the new guests.
Yeah.
Like being able to differentiate what episodes are what. This is an episode where, okay, it's going to be either Clint, Steve, or Gordon. Oh, there's a guest on this one. Oh, this is a live episode. Like, just messing around with that was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Yeah, and you get some pretty goofy pictures too, which is always
I do.
kind of cool.
Yeah.
So that's kind of season 2. We're already saying this, but we're calling it season 1, season 2, and now
That is
the
a
start of season 3.
change of season 3
Yeah.
is that we are viewing seasons. We're in seasons.
Yeah, and you can see that you are on any of the Apple podcast apps. You can actually sort by seasons now too. So,
And the reason for that is because of what we just shared with you. The podcast from the beginning to the podcast now, I think, is radically different. Mm-hmm. The essential core of the podcast that we told you about is the same, but it's like it's just evolved. Just like us as people on Earth and our journeys, and we have birthdays a year ago, we weren't the same person.
nope.
And so it's like a season is basically, like I said, a birthday, and we're aging and we're getting older. And so rather than like documenting episode, it's just like, okay, what's going to happen this year? Mm-hmm. And we have no idea.
Yeah, and so kind of like to be specific off of that, we're not going to number our episodes anymore. We're actually, because we don't want you guys to feel like you have to listen in a certain order or anything like that, because really each of these episodes should be able to, you can just listen to whichever ones work for you. Like if you've never seen one of the shows that we're covering and you don't feel like watching that or listening to that episode, we don't want you to feel like you have to listen to that. Obviously we want you to listen to it, but it should be kind of a podcast where you can listen to episodes interchangeably and not have to worry about it.
Yeah. And if there's ever like a episode where you're like, I really like what they're talking about, usually if it's something we've talked about before, we tell you in that episode, and you can only like guide you through different episodes where you're hearing the same topic being discussed. And if there is a linearness to an episode, we usually mark it to. Like our last 2 episodes was a part 1 and part 2.
Exactly.
So we will never let you astray. You can just pick and choose based on the topics that we're talking about.
And so one of the reasons why we are able to do this sort by seasons is we are making some huge changes right now. If you follow us on social media, you've probably been seeing us kind of announce a couple of these. But one of the biggest ones is that we are no longer going to be hosted through SoundCloud. So if you currently listen to us on SoundCloud, you're going to have to start transitioning to something else. But there is good news.
Yes.
So we are switching to a new hosting platform, which is built specifically for podcasts, which means because of that, we can now be on so many more platforms. Like it is unbelievable. So we're losing SoundCloud, but in return, we're now on Spotify, Stitcher, places I've never even heard of, like Radio Public.
Yeah, we are on like
Cast.
online radios.
Yeah,
like
TuneIn,
soon be on
iHeartRadio.
iHeartRadio. Like, what is that? What?
Exactly. Overcast, Castro, Castbox, like all these things I've never even heard of too. So you'll be able to find us on so many more platforms, but we are going to have to lose SoundCloud. So we'll have that probably for about, I guess, through November or up to November.
Right.
So we'll keep posting stuff on there to give you guys time to transition, but we are now going to be moving to this completely new world of we're just able to do so many new things with this new hosting platform that will hopefully help us make this a better experience for you guys, and then also just help us reach more people the way that it's situated.
And the reason for that too, like if you want to understand like logistically, is this hosting platform is also our website now.
Yeah.
This hosting platform, like unlike Spotify, we couldn't put our blogs there, so we had to create a website. Mm-hmm. And so here we have our blogs, our episodes, where we post our episodes, information about us, all our guests. Everything. Where you can reach us if you want to submit a topic or, like I said, submit a blog.
Yeah.
Is all in one. So we were like paying for Spotify and paying for this website. And now it's going to be one cost for everything.
So there's a whole new website, so go check it out. It's still the same domain, though. It's just thechristandculture.com. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I love about this is you can actually search by hosts. So if you want to search by you only want to listen to Gordon's episodes because you just love the way Gordon like talks about stuff. It's kind of weird, but you can do that. You can go search by Gordon. If you want to only listen to guest episodes, there's a whole section where you can just search by your favorite guest or keywords. If you really like when we talk about Marvel movies, you can go type in Marvel and only find the Marvel episodes. So you can do all those different things. And it's just another thing, hopefully will make it easier for you guys to sort through all those different episodes, even though we're not numbering them.
Yep.
So I think that stuff's really cool. And
It is really exciting.
We're having a blast with it.
For those who are like, well, I was on SoundCloud, or I don't have any other platform. I don't really want to listen on my web browser. One thing we are going to be transitioning within this season, it's going to take some time, is we're going to start trying to upload our episodes to YouTube.
Yeah, we've had people wanting us to do this for a while, and it takes a lot of time.
Just because I think most phones come stock with YouTube, and so it won't have any video or anything like that. We do record each episode of us, but that is something that you can access through Patreon. But it will have the audio, so you can just go on YouTube to our channel eventually, and all our episodes should be there. So, like I said, that's going to take some time for us to transition that onto there, but we will be doing that too. So just give us some time, and hopefully that'll be something for you guys who are like, I don't want to get another app.
Yeah.
Like, well, you can use that.
One thing that we won't be able to do anymore is see names of who is listening. So if you enjoyed getting a shout out every time that you started listening again, unfortunately, we're not going to be able to see names anymore with the new analytics program that we're using. So you guys are going to have to work a little bit more if you want shout outs. You're going to have to actually talk to us, reach out to us on social media, or email us, or comment on the episodes, leave reviews. We like to give shout outs to people who leave reviews and stuff too.
So this is a question for you.
Yeah.
You said leave comments on the episodes. There is a comment feature on our website, but I think we have it turned off. Do we want that on?
Oh yeah, we can turn that on.
Okay, yeah. Then it'll be on, so you can comment. As long as you just say, like, I listened and I liked it. Great, then we'll give you a shout out.
Yeah, we want you guys to be able to participate as much as possible in the show because, like we've said in the past, this is a discussion, and we're just kind of on one side of that discussion, and we want you guys to be able to participate in that too. So, yeah, that's a lot of stuff happening. On top of that, we have talked about increasing some of our content for the patrons, those who support us. We have a couple people who are supporting us now, and it's been a huge help in allowing us to do a lot of this cool stuff. There will be a lot more stuff coming in the future as we're kind of saving up some of those donations. But in return, since we are so grateful for you patrons, we want to have more exclusive content for you. So that's going to include extra interviews with guests. It's going to include hopefully some cool bonus videos and stuff. We've been in talks. I don't know if we want to say this out loud, but
I think it's okay. We don't know when this would happen, but this is a brainchild of ours.
Yeah. So we've been in talks with some friends of ours who work in cinematography, and we've kind of been trying to work out some stuff where we can do some fun videos. Some of them are out in the public. Some of them are more like just us, stuff like that. So a lot of different stuff going on there. Like we said, this might not be something that happens soon, but it's something that we are working on and looking at in the future. And that's going to be stuff that's exclusive for patrons. So make sure if you are interested in helping and you want access to those bonus interviews and those bonus videos and stuff, make sure you're doing that. And then additionally, we are finally getting to the point where we are really going to be able to start investing in merch. But as we've said multiple times on here, the patrons get access to that stuff first, and that is their reward for supporting us and making those things possible. So we're going to be working towards that. That's one of our goals for the near future, is to be able to get more stuff for them as well. That is, like, right now what we're thinking about for season 3. There's going to be a lot more that comes. We have tons of people on the guest list right now. We're just setting up final dates for and stuff like that. So a lot of stuff is going to be happening.
Yeah, that's one other thing we didn't really say that changed in season 2. We said we added a Patreon, but like Clint said, we gained patrons.
Yeah.
And within season 2, we recuperated the cost that it took to start and upkeep this podcast. And now, literally now, ending season 2, we are past what it takes to upkeep this podcast to where we can actually save, and probably very easily within the end of season 3, we'll be able to upgrade our equipment and get better stuff so this podcast can sound better, be better, and be more tangible for it to be this communal discussion.
So we've got a lot of stuff coming, and we want to thank you guys for being a part of it. It's been super exciting to go from these 20-minute episodes where we don't know what we're doing to actually having, like, it seems like a real show.
Yeah.
So thank you guys for being a part of that. And the next thing we kind of want to do is just really talk about some of our favorite parts from this last year and some of your guys' favorite parts from this last year. We still have access to some of the old stats and stuff. So the first thing I think is our top listeners for year 2. So looking it up, it's actually some of the same people from first year.
Okay.
So a few names: Cody, my roommate, he's still top. Shortly followed by Ben Balto, who's our good friend, and then Sarah Matler, Celia Knietman, Bakachi, who we said this last year.
Of all time, or did you
This
literally
is just
set it
this year.
just for this year?
This is just this year.
Great.
And then my other roommate, Davis, my good friend from college, Kenzie, Monica Hollinshead, Shayna Marcone, my mom, shout out mom, user numbers, Vach, Cherry Salah, Danny Sackfort, Annie Rodriguez, Wilson Sordo, Rosalina Lorente, Bev Koo, Scout Armstrong. So those are our top 20. We got a lot of awesome
I'm sure
people on
Ty's in there. He just doesn't listen through platform.
These are only people that we can see through certain platforms.
Yeah.
So we just want to give a shout out to you guys. You're so awesome. Thank you for listening. I know some of you have listened to like 80 episodes, and we've only put out 50 episodes this season, 52 episodes, which means somehow you've listened to multiple. So thanks.
Just the way the algorithm works.
Yeah, just the way that it works. And then the next thing that we kind of talked about this last year, but we have so many countries that listen to us, which is mind-blowing. So obviously the United States is the biggest one. Canada by far has been like actually a really big country for kind of supporting us. But then some of the other ones, Vietnam, Brazil, United Kingdom, Mexico, Egypt, which really surprises me. Australia, it's probably the Frad family, most likely.
I doubt it.
Germany, and then Turkey. So those are our top 10, and then we got a bunch of other ones too. But yeah, it's mind-blowing to think that like it's all over the place. Yeah, and then before we kind of start breaking up into like actual episodes, top cities.
Okay.
So these first ones are kind of obvious. So obviously we have League City. That's where we live. So a lot of our friends are listening. We're listening, stuff like that. Houston, it's right next to us. So we have a lot of friends there. Dubuque, Iowa, which is where I went to college and kind of grew up. And then San Jose, California is next. Followed by Spring, Texas, which is also a suburb of Houston. Galveston, we have a lot of friends from there. Fremont, California.
California is a big listener. I noticed that on our new website.
Yeah. And then Durango, Colorado.
Okay.
I love Durango. It's an amazing... Oh, actually, I've got a couple friends from there. Maybe that's who that is. Hello, shout out. Mountain View, California. LaPorte City, Iowa. And then a bunch of other Texas places, mostly in this area. We got Georgia, Atlanta. That's going to be you.
From.
Coming in at 17. Pittsburgh coming in at 16. So that's probably
where
Steve's family.
from. Yeah.
There we go. Denver, Colorado at 18. That's probably my brother and his friends. So, yeah. And then just a bunch of different places from Texas and Iowa coming in. And then, yeah, we have a couple cities from Canada down below too. So it's just so cool to see you guys all over the place tuning in for this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So with that, the fun stuff. This has been so hard, but... So the first thing we want to talk about is the top episodes that you guys listen to, and then our personal favorite episodes. So we're going to just do not counting guests this first time through because there's so many guest episodes, and they're all like so good. So the top episode just for this last year, this blows my mind. It was our Christmas special, For Whom the Bell Tolls. It was Johnny Swim, I think. I think it was Johnny
you
Swim.
and Steve, but yeah, Johnny Swim is the,
Yeah, and then our second one was episode 55, our Halloween one, Remember Me, which is on the Disney movie Coco. That one was really fun. And then we had a guest episode, so we'll talk about those later. And then the one that you guys did on Batman, This House Is Not a Home, which this one is crazy because this is actually a newer episode. So all the other ones are old from like last fall. And this is one of the more popular ones.
And it was on a topic of a show that hasn't been on air in, I don't know, 8 years or something.
Right. So it's kind of crazy to see that one. The Pattern is the Pattern. That was a really weird Netflix series. What was it called?
Oh, shoot.
I don't remember. It was with Jonah Hill.
I know. Something. I don't remember.
Yeah. It was crazy.
It was
weird.
on our website as one of my favorite shows.
Yeah.
But apparently not a favorite enough.
And then we had another guest episodes. We'll talk about those later. The Game of Thrones episode was really, really big. A bunch of more guest episodes. And then the I'll Meet You at the Delta is the next one. So that's the Delta album by
Mumford and
Sons. Yeah. Followed by The Only Why, which is one that you and I did. And then Navigating the River was Pocahontas one. So with that, those are the top listened to episodes by you guys. Gordon, what was your favorite episode of this year?
Mine was, not including guests, the Meet You at the Delta. Fairly easily.
Really?
Yeah.
That was a fun one.
That was.
We had like every single song lyric printed out and everything.
I just felt like we were just like studying this album and note taking and just like really it was like a true way to really take in an album, I feel like. And I don't really get to do that, so I just loved it. And it was a really good conversation.
We had a lot of fun with that. I know the thing that I love about like a good album for me, so like there's good songs on albums, but for me, for it to be a good album, it has to tell a story, and it did. From beginning to end, it was telling a story. And it was kind of like the 21 Pilots one we did back in the first year, I think.
Yeah.
I think that's a good choice. Any other big ones?
I put The Press Start to Begin was one I really liked.
Oh, yes.
Just because it was a different style. Three topics in one, but they all like flowed together really well.
Yeah.
I put the Batman one down too, just because that was my topic, and Batman is the best. And I got to talk about it. Plus, I've heard different people, like Gomer listened to it.
Oh, for real?
And remember he said...
Oh, he did, yeah.
And then Ryan was like, I can't believe he did a podcast on that. And the Only Why, I really enjoyed.
Yeah, that one was so
good. Because that was a tough topic. Yeah. But it was like I see that one, I'm like, that was good. I really like that one. Yeah.
I really struggled to narrow this one down. I don't know. I just think there's so many fun episodes this year that I just had a blast with. But my absolute favorite one, and this is probably going to surprise you, Navigating the River, I think is my favorite.
Pocahontas?
The Pocahontas one.
Right.
So we did Pocahontas and The Discernment of Spirits by like the Ignatian, like 14 Rules. And it just blew my mind how well it fit. And I love talking about the rules of discernment. So it was just really cool to be able to do those. I also really liked Press Start to Begin. That was probably one of my tops as well. Deity and Dragons, that's the D&D one. You gotta love it. The Nuclear Lie, which are the ones we just put out on Chernobyl. Oh my gosh, those were so good. One. And then another really big one for me was the Real War, which is the Game of Thrones ones, which the audio was kind of messed up for that one. But the content, I think what got me for it was it's just so needed because there's like this huge division on people on that show. Do we watch it? Do we not watch it? Is it okay? Is it morally wrong? And the whole point of us doing this is just like, whether it's wrong or not, that's where people are. And so I think it was just a really necessary
One of the ones I considered was the one me and Steve did on the Ted Bundy movie.
Yeah.
Because the same thing. The audio wasn't great, sadly. But it was just a really interesting topic because you even asked me this recently, like, why are we so obsessed with serial killers?
Yeah.
And like that was the idea. Like, why is it okay? Like, what's the hype? Is watching it making the problem more of a problem? That type of thing. It was a really interesting conversation that I think was really, really well done.
Yeah, yeah, and that's just something that, especially since I started watching Mindhunter, has just blown me away even more so than before. So it's definitely a needed conversation. So those are our favorites. Steve might have some favorites of his own. You'll have to ask him. But since we had so many guests this year, let's go ahead and break down some of those too. So the top guest episodes, the first one, and we heard a ton of good feedback on this one, is the episode that lived with Mackenzie Young. So this was our very first episode of this year.
Mm-hmm.
It was on Harry Potter. It was on feminism and a bunch of stuff like that. And just different characters in Harry Potter. And it was phenomenal.
It was so good.
It was so good. And we've got a lot of good feedback on that. The next episode, as far as guests, is actually our most recent one, which is Leah Murphy from Life Teen doing Lions, Leah, and Life Teen. Oh my. So that was the Lion King episode. We talked about Beyonce. We talked about Life Teen. It was super, super good as well. The next one, as far as guests, is our good friend Danny Seckfort. So that one was on science. She has her program that she does, the Catechist Scientist, where she helps people see how science and faith work together. The next one is the one that you were just talking about before with Gomer. Gomer Breaks the Podcast.
PG.
PG. Yeah, that one was fun. If you don't know Gomer, he's from the show Catching Foxes, Every Knee Shall Bow, and like 20 other podcasts too. And the next one on here that's a guest episode is Fortnite Pre-Evangelization featuring John Blevins or Bearded Blevins. So those are kind of the top guest episodes. The one that you did with Lizzie not too long ago, actually that was the most recent one because that was right after Leah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that one's not far behind either. We have that Catholic couple. We have Jamie Clayton from Paradigm Clothing. We have Philip Koslowski. So those are our top guest episodes for this year. So Gordon, of those, what was your favorite?
My favorite was the Catholic couple.
Really?
Yes.
Talk about hip hop.
Yes.
Okay.
Because it was so much fun talking, like hanging out with them. They're just a riot.
Yeah.
And I was laughing so hard. But also, like, they misunderstood the podcast when I was like, oh, how we start the show is we talk about media we've been intaking. And they thought with that media, we do the Christ and Culture thing.
Yeah.
So the first thing they mentioned was hip hop. And that just became the show.
Yeah.
But it was so much fun. I also just really loved that episode because that was when, I think that was kind of when I really went into my editing kick.
Yeah.
And I just added like a lot of sound effects. But it was a lot of fun. I really liked that one. I had Leah down just because that one seemed so natural. Mm-hmm. Like we didn't have to ask any questions. She just kind of took the show.
Yeah. And she also does that for a living.
Yeah.
So she's really good.
I mean, I have a few that we mentioned, but the one that I have down that we didn't mention was Chris.
Yeah.
Just because that was really fun as well. And I didn't know how I was going to do in that episode because I don't know anything about Tolkien and I didn't see the movie Tolkien. But it was just really, like, I was really able to add to that conversation too.
Right.
So.
Yeah, that one was a lot of fun.
How about you? I imagine, let me guess. It's either, I think it's Bearded Blevins. But it was either that, it was a tie between that and Leah.
Did you read my notes?
No.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. I had a blast with John. And
that episode was crazy good.
I think part of it too was like, I was just so nervous for that episode. I'd never done like, well, I have done it by myself before. I don't know. I just get so like nervous before recording guest episodes.
Before you and him really got to the point where you are now with him.
Yeah, and also, like, I still get nervous with doing remote episodes, too, because this goes back to the episode with Jamie from Paradigm. Like, we had so many issues with, like, the software for that episode, and I just felt, like, so bad, and now I'm just, like, terrified every episode is going to, like, crash in the middle of it or something. And so I was just so afraid that, like, something was going to happen and just, like, ruin the episode, and it went so well, and I think that's why that's my favorite one. Just, like, it was so much fun. John's awesome. Yeah, and it was just such a cool like media to be talking about too. So, and then Leah immediately after that, she was so much fun, so like good. And then I loved being with Chris talking about Tolkien. That was amazing. Yeah, I don't know. It's been a good year. Gomer, like it was just so cool to be able to talk with him. We've had so many good guests this year. It's awesome.
I had one other list that I created. And this was my favorite podcast to edit.
Oh my gosh.
And it, in no order whatsoever, when we did the It episode recently.
Okay.
Welcome to Losers Club. I loved it because I added a lot of sound effects from the movie.
I haven't listened to that one
There's
yet.
even a jump scare in there that I did scare Lizzie with. Gomer, that episode was extremely fun to edit because I had to edit it. Even if we didn't have any filler words, there was words I couldn't leave in there.
Yeah.
Same with Lizzie.
Yeah.
I had to edit that one.
Please say press start to begin.
I didn't have that down.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, whoa. Okay, I put the Catholic couple on there.
Okay.
And then I put, more specifically, one sound clip from Press Start to Begin. That is a kind of my favorite little gem in any episode. And is when we're talking about Spider-Man Far From Home in the end of the episode. And we couldn't think of Happy's name.
Oh my gosh.
And
that was
we
so
said it, and then we were both just like fumbling to think of his name, and we were like looking it up, and you can't find it that easy for some reason.
No.
And so
we got comments on that. Like after the episode was published, people were like, it's happy. And like, I'm sorry.
And then, so I added a sound clip in there to cut out the gap of space, and it's the scene from Spider-Man 2, the original Spider-Man's with Tobey Maguire, where he's coming out of the closet of the building Doc Ock works in, and like the brooms and the mops are like falling on him, and he's like trying to shove it back in, and it's just really awkward. And because that's how
just like us,
that's how it felt. And yes, I did love. That's my favorite thing I ever added in.
Okay, I don't enjoy editing as much as you do, but I think the one that I actually took the most like liberties with. Oh, no pun intended, but now that I said it, I kind of mean it. So the one that I think was probably the most fun was the Aim Small, Miss Small. That was like our 4th of July episode. And it was all about like the Revolutionary War. And so I threw in a bunch of like patriotic, obnoxious stuff in there.
As well as like bleep yourself out or something, or cut it out. I don't know what you did.
Probably. I don't know. I did a whole bunch of weird stuff. So that was probably
mine.
Wow.
That's been season 2.
But season 3 is what we're looking forward to. So that's going to be good.
I have a challenge.
So do I. So you go first.
Oh, okay. My challenge is simple and practical. My challenge is to, like we mentioned, to participate. My challenge is to participate in what we're trying to create if you want to. Like if you're like, oh, I want them to do this, don't just like think it. Like reach out so we can do it, because we can't read 9s. We're not going to be able to do everything. And then on top of that, my other aspect of the challenge is to kind of be patient with us. We told you a lot of things that we want to roll out, but I think now between January is going to be insane for me.
Yeah.
So a lot of things really won't happen on my end really until like February.
So I'll do my best, guys.
So and like Clint himself is also just holding up a lot of slack from other things coming up these next few months, and it's just be patient.
Yeah. And if there is like a certain aspect of something that we mentioned that you want us to work on that first, so like maybe you are more, I don't know, maybe you're more concerned about like having stuff on YouTube than you are about us getting blogs up or something like that, you know? So let us know, like if you really like the idea of every episode being on YouTube, let us know. Like if that's a priority for you, the more people we hear, the more like effort we'll like switch to that over like everything else that we're trying to do. So just let us know. We want to hear from you guys. So I think that's a good challenge. And mine actually kind of go with that. So my challenge is, because we're on this new platform, we're basically not completely starting over as far as like people trying to find us, but we have to like rebuild a lot of our platform again. And so share the show with a friend and tell them about how you in your life do the TCIC thing, taking a show and talking about it. And with that, please rate, review, and follow us on all these new platforms. Because right now, I don't know if you tried this, Gordon, but if you try and search us on Spotify, because I think I'm the only follower, you can't find us without the link. You can go to our website and find us, but until people start following us and rating us and reviewing us, it's literally impossible to find us. So please, 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 that's my challenge for you. Because of all this stuff, we need help to reach people again. So go to our website. It's thechristinculture.com. Use whatever links you need to. It's every single platform we're on, you can find on our website. Go there, follow us, leave reviews, and that'll help us reach out to more people.
Yeah.
With that, make sure you're following us on social media too, so you can get updates on all this stuff when it comes out. So Twitter is @OnTheAdventure2. Facebook is just The Christ in Culture. YouTube is just The Christ in Culture. And Patreon is patreon.com/The Christ in Culture.
Yep.
And again, you can find all that on our website. So make sure you check that out.
Sweet.
Anything else?
I'd like to give a few shout-outs.
Yeah, let's do it.
3 major shout-outs to our patrons.
Oh, heck
Ty, Kenzie, and Trent. Just because... and
my mom.
And your mom. Shout out,
She's
Mom.
a secret patron.
Just because without you guys, like this, it wouldn't be as easy as it's becoming, and this wouldn't be what it's going to evolve into.
Yeah.
I'd like to shout out Lizzie, because this is the last season where we won't just be dating and we'll be married, as well as there's a lot of liberties I know that she gives up so that I can do this from time to time. Sometimes she just like chills on the couch over here while we record. Mm-hmm. And shout out to Kevin and Sarah Matler, who have let me like live in Texas, and that's, you know, this might probably be the last season as well that I'll be living with them.
Yeah, and
so,
we've recorded a lot in their house too. And
so
everything.
Just like shout out to the people, even Chris, who has helped like in my work, give me liberty so I can do this.
Yeah.
Just people that have let this become what it is. That's
For sure.
That's what I want to shout out.
Yeah, and I mean,
so shout out God.
For sure. My work literally let me take off a couple of days this summer so I could do those interviews with John and Leah and just stuff like that where people are just super supportive. So shout out to everyone who's part of that.
Sweet. Anything else?
I think that's it, man.
All right. With that, thank you guys for joining us this year, and we'll see you next year.
Bye.
So fast. How do you know what they're saying? I was like, I do this all the time.
Can you say something?
Yeah, something.
Okay.
All right.